talk a little bit about burnout. I see threads come up all the time on like, hey, I'm really creatively like I can't just I just can't get into it anymore. Like I just can't really be creative or even just like I hate my job and I don't know what to do about it. People speaking out about just like the fact that they're just worn down. And for creative burnout in particular, I see a lot of the same advice. And it's I'm gonna mark this as the start of the video. Do that. Okay. Uh, I see a lot of the same advice. It's like take some time off, work on small projects that make you happy, or like get a hobby, or work less in some cases. And I think that everybody's a little bit different. And I've certainly been in the position to entertain some of those ideas, and I still don't feel any less burnt out. I've been thinking about this a lot for like the past year, basically, and I don't think that burnout is something that we should try to be fixing. I think that it is, or rather, it's not a problem to be fixed. It is more like a scar that you cope with. You can associate it very similarly to trauma in a way. And much like a scar, there's ways to make it better. There's ways to heal more quickly, but you will never be the same as you were. You have to take that on board and then you live with it. That's what burnout is, in my opinion. And I think that's how we should be talking about it. So the advice of, oh, just do this thing over here, uh, it makes sense that if you try to take some time off, but you go back to the same thing that burnt you out in the first place, it's only a matter of time before it happens again or before it gets worse. Or you will just straight up be burnt out and trying to suffer through whatever work you have to do. My dog has opinions on that too. I was going to make this a video, but there is some there's some interactivity that I want to get because I'm not looking at this from a medical perspective. I'm looking at this from like an experiential and personal experience uh, perspective because I have been given a lot of time to think about things. So I do have some like script up on screen, and I'm sure it would have been a good video. But then I took a moment to I really couldn't wrap it up. Like I couldn't make it. I think it'd be easier to talk through it. That's what I get to. But let me take a moment to look at the questions and drink stupid amounts of water. Um, so I approach anything Meta says with some skepticism here, but I think this is a pretty good question. Sorry, I don't mean to rag on you, Meta. I just kind of feel like this is a loaded question. Is a burnout the result of how things were received and turned out, or would it have happened anyway? So, it's I don't think it's a result of how things were received. I think the the work. I think it's the other way around, basically. So where I was getting burnt out, therefore the quality of my work was diminishing. And so let me talk a little bit about my my experience here. So I spent last 7 years, not 2020, in like June. When was it? June 2023. Is that when I took off? A little bit before that. So 7 years thereabouts of a games industry career, and that's working after hours, weekends, holidays, even when we're at work. And I was notorious for this. Like every Friday, there'd be like a like a pizza day or something like that, a day break, and everybody would go flock down. I think it was on Fridays. And you'd have your little like fun party time, and I would just get food and then go back to my desk. A few things there. One, I don't want to I didn't want to hang out with people. Uh, Two, I needed to get work done. That was the position that I was in. I really enjoyed that. I love making games. Uh, and even like after hours, I'm attending community events, helping shepherd things, speaking with content creators, giving them free stuff so that they can make videos. Working with the marketing department to get codes done up so that I can like give things to other people and make sure that their events are successful, so that the community gets uplifted and can do amazing things. A lot of that was like that's just stuff that I enjoyed doing. So over time, I mean, so suffice to say, like the work life balance is something that I'm really, really bad at. I'd love to flex it because it is part of who I am, and I'm really proud of all of that work, regardless of how it was received toward the end. Like if you have a handful of bad updates, that is going to happen regardless of who you are, and uh, if enough time is given. But the thing that I'll say is that toward the toward the end of that cycle, it was I was doing less of the work that I loved and more of all the surrounding, like the peripheral things that needed to get done. I was really trying to keep my team going and focused, and handling all the finances and making sure that the roadmaps secure, and there was plenty of, I think, like red tape and stuff, like kind of like things that got in the way just based on like how the organizational structure was set up, and lots of, yeah, I would say just like peripheral responsibilities, and I was doing way less of the actual creating and more of the directing, which okay, I'm good at. Not to toot my own horn, it's fine. Like the people, if I was just like doing creative director stuff, would have been gravy. I wasn't. I was I was doing things that did not make me happy, and what's more is that I was not good at. Or rather, I shouldn't say that I was not good at, because that's not true. It's like we should have had dedicated people with experience in those fields who could help uplift everything else. We didn't. So this goes on, and you're dealing with it. You're just making things go. The way that I think about burnout now is, well, okay, so saying that I was in that position, like I tried to slow the descent, slam on the air brakes and kind of make sure that I wasn't going to burn out. Like people thought that I was going to be burnt out in my first 4 years because that's the experience that they had gone through. Very surprised when I wasn't, like, because I was still doing the things that I loved. I was so excited. And but after that, uh, taking on additional responsibilities and doing things uh, that I didn't, either have enough mentorship to really help me rise to the occasion, or being able to, or having, being able to delegate. all those, peripheral responsibilities. It was just more difficult to enjoy that experience. And that's when burnout sets in. I imagine if you were to take this in a really game like video game sort of oriented sense, I would say that you have three main factors that contribute to burnout. First of which is that, or rather, let me rephrase it. I think that everybody has a tolerance for what they can entertain before they get burnt out, and you think of it like a health bar. And then you have the environmental stuff, the things that you that aren't the things that are weighing you down. If you imagine uh, just just like holding a weight, it doesn't matter how strong you are. Eventually, you're going to get tired. Your muscles are going to fatigue. So, depending on how much weight you're holding day in and day out, I think that that is going to be where you start to, or that determines the rate in which you burn out. Does that make sense? Let me look through. Uh, yeah. So AC says, I wouldn't say a scar in reference to burnout, but a wound for sure. And some wounds run deep and stay sensitive even after it heals. Yeah, I think we're basically saying the same thing. Let's see. Carson says, my dog is so noisy. He's lying behind me. For me, making sure I do something active that I want to do between work helps recharge me and reduce burnout. Not always possible, but still. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's definitely ways to postpone. There's ways to like decelerate. I toward the end, so toward the end, I was logging out like it's 6 o'clock. Bam, I'm done for the day. Don't want to like work computer is off. I'm doing whatever else. And I never used to do that, but it was like, okay, how do I fix this problem? Because I feel myself getting burnt out. And so I did things to like try to decelerate, right? Or like slow whatever. You so just logging off at the end of the day, delegating more was another one, and then trying to find like little small wins. So basically, like all the stuff that people talk about, I was trying to make it make sense. Yeah. So Nubia says it's important to recognize how much burnout affects you, and there are different stages of burnout. To some degree, it could get bad enough to cause depression, anxiety, and so forth. Yeah. So how burnout is going to manifest is it could be anxiety, it could be depression, it could be lack of creativity, it could be uh, chasing or like pleasure chasing that turns out to be bad habits. You know, could be like drug use or smoking or whatever else. Just eating food to like fill the void. All that stuff could just be it's because you're trying to fix a problem or your body's reacting to a problem, but you may not be like understanding how to address it. Uh, again, let me get to this here. At 33, I view burnout through a prism of fitness. There's a term in fitness called overtraining. When you overtrain, you lower the load. The problem with burnout is that it is mental tiredness. So that's legit. And mental tiredness is compounded by things in real life, emotional stress, all that impact intellectual output. Yeah, it's Oh, you got another one here. The common denominator is between physical tiredness and mental sleep. Both can impact the quality of sleep. Yeah, okay. So for on the topic of sleep separately, uh, I suck at that. Sleep is the worst. Like if if some people can sleep good, I'm bad at it. It is one one of the worst skills that I have. I'm like an alligator. I'm just doing death rolls all night long because I can never feel comfortable. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Yeah. So environment. Can you change your environment? So this is this is kind of the crux of it, I think, when it comes to burnout. Because I think if you do things often enough, like if you're working a job, let's say you love your job. Actually, let's use a plan. We got some planets at two people. Let's use planets at two as an example. Let's say that you uh, love Planetside 2 and it releases some bad updates or some, I wouldn't even, okay. So they could release some bad updates for the purpose of this example. That's me like wanting to say like, maybe not bad updates because every person's different, but things that make you less happy. I would say that those are burdens. That's the pain, right? And you're still playing the game. You love the game. It's so much fun, but your tolerance is going down. Eventually, that pain, the environment, as it were, is going to overtake your tolerance. And at that point, you will, in my opinion, you'll be playing in spite of the game. Similarly, if we go to work, love our job, love most of the people that we work with, except maybe that one person that just kind of like bothers you a little bit. Eventually, that's gonna wear on you slowly. Maybe there's some other factors, maybe the company is they're being more strict with their time. Maybe the uh, maybe you're working more hours than you're used to. You could probably sustain that for a while, but eventually it's going to whittle you down because it's not a an aspect of the environment that is fueling you. It is taking away. So the question is like, are there ways to course correct? I don't have all the answers to this, but one thing that I've been thinking about lately when it comes to changing your environment is that you so I'm at a point in my life where I only want to do the things that I'm happy doing. The things that I think jive with the core of my being. When I'm making a tabletop role playing game, uh, like if I'm the act of being creative is is the fun part for me. Imagining worlds, balancing rule sets, creating a lot of things. The act of learning all of these processes, and even just doing like for those of you who don't know, I just released the TTRPG that I've been working on. That's on BackerKit right now, and leading up to that point, like nobody else saw the work, but like I'm working, 10, 12-hour days behind the scenes and not getting paid for it. So, but I enjoy it to a point. I I don't like certain aspects of it. And if I were to continue to do that, I'm talking about all the like, oh, I got to figure out how much shipping costs for like every country that we want to ship to, and like the box sizes and all that. Like all of that little administrative stuff is like that. That's not what makes me happy. It's just something that I have to tolerate so I can do the happy thing. So if that went on forever, I would probably get burnt out. So being able to reconnect with the thing that recharges me is important. and also making sure that I'm not doing so much of that stuff that I'm now being contemptuous of the part that I do like. So, if there's a lesson there, I would say two things. One, figure out what the core of your being is. What makes you, uh, why do you wake up every morning? Ah, but Rel, it's the inevitable struggle of trying to survive. I wish the sweet forever sleep would take hold. I can't wait to shed this mortal shell. Okay, so if you're, provided you can get past that point, what makes you excited? What would you rather be doing? Like you're all sitting right here, like sitting here now, watching me talk about my experiences with burnout. What else uh, would you be doing right now if you weren't doing this? Uh, Let me take that back. What else could you be doing right now that would make you happy? I don't think, not momentarily. I'm talking about the stuff that makes you excited to live. What is that? Do you know? It took me a while to figure it out. And I've been doing this stuff my whole life, but I never identified it until like the past, what, 5 years, something like that. Maybe take some time to figure that out. Uh, so here you go. Look at this. JH says, Rel is in the background. I'm drawing right now. Awesome. I love it. So there is, let's see, looking through the comments. Dim says that getting medication to help me sleep transformative. It was like waking up from a long dream that lasted years. You know, so I have pursued trying to like trying to figure out how to sleep better. Not wholeheartedly. Like I haven't done a sleep study yet. Um, but all the tricks and even trying different medications, like medication just makes me feel like balls when I wake up. And most of the time it doesn't work at all. Like it'll help me get to sleep, but I don't stay asleep. The sleep thing is a blessing and a curse because I dream vividly all the time, and I have a fair amount of control over those dreams. And other people are like, I don't, I can't do that. I'm like, I know, because you're not blessed with the inability to sleep. Let's see. Max says, I've scraped the very bottom of burnout with teaching, and it can affect every aspect of your life. Realizing that you don't have to be perfect every day is difficult to learn. Get therapy early. I think that's good advice. Um, I some people will say like, "Oh, every person needs therapy." I've never felt that way. I like who I am, and I like figuring out who I am. Does that make sense? It's there are things that I've done wrong. There are like I'll tell you right now. Back when I was in the Navy, I was like I was a real jerk off for when it comes to being like a manager of people because I expected everybody to work as hard as I did. Even I would say like even into early days career with the gaming uh, company, the gaming company, I was still very strict. Like I had to do more, and I expect you to carry your weight. Like that's why you're here. You have to be good. We have to make things better. And it was very difficult to under soften or pronounce the T real hard. Um, Very difficult to soften that understanding that not everybody's like that. Like people need uh, time to Like, the way I look at work is not the way other people look at work. They didn't have all the I guess, not trauma, more like training growing up. Like, I used to be in my dad's shop just, sweeping up, sanding down cars and, getting the rust off of stuff, picking up all the tools and putting them away. Like, I was doing that. That was my summer. That was my time away from school, is just working, and I didn't like it back then, but I think it changed who I am today, and I like who I am today. Uh, there was definitely like a maybe okay, so let me just go. Techno Gaming says, "Burnouts are hard. When you get burnt out, just watch some memes." Yeah. So let me, yeah, let me hit you with some of this. So I talked about tolerance, right? Like your health bar for, and you associate it with maybe not even you physically, though there's some repercussions there if things get out of hand, but associate it with an object or like a task. So that tolerance is your relationship with your job or like an activity or a loved one or whatever. And then all the burdens that you're carrying are what degrade that tolerance and wear it down over time. There's one thing that changes that temporarily, and that's novelty. So to bring it back to a PlanetSide 2 example, if you're if you're like, man, I hate this game. I just every time I jump in, I can't play. Uh, or things like, I get frustrated by everything. When we release a new update, oh, my webcam keeps lagging. That's probably because I got it on um, 1080p. Yeah, let me see if I can fix that real quick. Okay, let me know if that's any better. It's on 720. 720p. It's still like it's giving me issues. Well, hopefully it gets better. But if we release an update for PlanetSide 2, it's big, it's interesting. A bunch of people come back, and because of the novelty of new exciting things, there's more people because everybody's coming back, right? Therefore, the game feels fresh again. That novelty is the third bar. So you have your it'd be really easy to graph this out, but you have your tolerance in the middle. You have your burdens or your pain or your environment, whatever, just the things that wear you down. And then you have novelty. Sometimes you fill that novelty bar up and that acts like a shield for your tolerance. Novelty wears down, say like that new update, it's lost its luster within the first couple of weeks. Then you're back down to where you were. It just hits your tolerance and starts grinding that down again. So it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. Uh, just to bring it back, techno gaming is like just watch some memes. It's not going to prevent you from being burnt out. It's going to provide a little shield buffer, that novelty, so that you aren't dealing with the problem. It's it's delaying the the problem from occurring. Does that make sense? And if you don't or if you don't agree with something that I'm saying, please call that out. I'd love to talk about this sort of stuff. Why does the lamp in the background not look real? Uh-oh. It's AI generated, or it's a crappy little prop from Lowe's that doesn't shed enough light to be helpful. Um, Just looking through the comments right now. So this is it's a good call out. I feel like what makes you happy right now or this year could change in the future. For me, it feels like there are things I would love to do, but after completing a project, a dream, etc., what's next? Yeah, that's um, so. Yes, we're changing all the time. I I would say don't approach it from the perspective that something is going to be static. Approach it from the perspective of like not rather you're not finding the thing to do. You're finding the core beliefs that make you who you are. And that's like a real deep, like trying to figure that out. Not everybody's gonna, maybe it's too much to ask. Um, if you, even if you're like, okay, I really enjoy doing this thing. And let's say that it's just like a hyperfixation. You go down some rabbit hole because you're really excited about this thing and then that wears off. It's okay to look for the next thing. That's totally fine. Like have an understanding of uh, first off why you're doing those things. Sometimes if it's autism or ADHD, you're and I'm not an authority to speak on this at all, but my understanding from those around me who profess uh, the workings of their own mind, if they have a hyperfixation, um, they can easily jump to another hyperfixation, and and it will be very difficult for them to pull themselves away from it. It is. I try to. So my girlfriend in particular is very much like this. Uh, gets very excited about certain things, invests a lot of time and energy in them, and then they'll just drop off, and the satisfaction isn't there. I don't know that it's chasing. Um, I don't know that it's like chasing a feeling of being happy. I don't think that it's a negative behavior. I think that it's something that you factor in with the rest of your life. You might be using it as a like a pleasure seeking or pain avoidance strategy, but that's a very personal thing, and it's difficult to paint everybody with the same brush. Hey, you listen to me. Let's see. All right. Just going through comments again. This is a funny one. I work in IT in an organization that's all about science, and it can be so hard to match the scientists' enthusiasm. Yeah, back when I was back when I was trying to be a Navy SEAL, and this was prior to actually going into boot camp or basic training. Had the contract, $75,000 sign-on bonus, at least it was back then. Uh, but you needed to. It was in DEP, which is it's delayed entry program, and multiple times a week we would have to go in for training, and that's like because you need to continually get better, keep getting better and better, better at being just like a powerful, strong, uh, physically fit human being. And you also need to like in delayed entry program, you're also like learning all the ranks and stuff too. And like you're not even in the Navy yet, and it's kind of wild to me. Uh, but you do that until you ship out. And there's a long story. I didn't go into the Navy as that. I ended up having to go in as uh, a radioman on a submarine, which I also didn't get to do because my intestines exploded and I became a photojournalist in my time there. But one of the things that I heard the instructors say, and this felt very important to me, is that while we're in there treading water, holding a brick above our head, just in the pool, just a bunch, like 20 of us or whatever. Uh, they said, like, I can't want it more than you do. Like, you have to be, excited, motivated, like self motivated, self driven in order for you to excel at this profession or succeed at this profession. I can't want it more than you do. And when I think about that, it's our environment can motivate us, and we should be always surrounding ourselves with people who lift us up, who try to get us uh, unstuck from the circumstances that might be holding us back. If you're an addict, smoking, alcohol, whatever, you're not just going to cold turkey that stuff unless you're a very, very rare exception. You are going to have to surround yourself with people who help you. I think the same is true of uh, approaching the things that we love, the things that make us happy. It's not just about us and doing the thing that we want. We also need to figure out how to surround ourselves with people who appreciate the things that we're trying to achieve. Nivea says I should laugh more. So, yeah, when I was, so I've loosened up a lot over the past. However, my sense of humor is some people don't get on with it, but I'm freaking hilarious. um, it's just small doses, and that's why, like, because people don't expect it because I'm a robot most of the time, but I loosened up a lot, and I had to, especially when I was managing people. As part of that, like softening, understanding other people, and extending them kindness, and trying to be less cold, robotic. The me of 10 years ago was way, 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 way different. But I agree. I don't know if I can get any further than I can, but I get that feedback all the time. One time, okay, so here's so when I was in the Navy, and like I said, my intestines exploded, and I'm not going to go through like the whole story, but people were trying to figure out why I was still broken after they sewed me up, and I have a scar like that long that runs down my stomach. Um, okay, I said I wouldn't get into it, um, but in my convalescence, when people are trying to figure out why I'm still like anything that I would eat or drink, go right through me, just straight up, and there's like stabbing pain involved and makes it impossible to do anything because I'm just like all day long. Um, it was really, really jacked up, and that's because part of my intestines didn't heal correctly after they took out the 3 feet or whatever of them. Um, so I lost what's called my cecum, and, uh, and it's it's okay, okay, well, I'll get into some medical. I'm really trying to avoid the medical stuff. ACS says that my scar is bigger than theirs. Hey, listen, it's not a competition. Um, but there was a bonding moment when I was in, what is the hospital? Is it in Maryland? No, no, no. Near like Washington D.C. or whatever. It's like the hospital that all of the that the presidents go to. And I was laid up there for a bit. It was for like a week. so that they can like the best doctors in the country can like, work me up and that sort of thing. And one of the attendants or the attendants, I don't know if she was like a resident or had evolved past that point, but she always came in with this like stone cold face. And I very sick and laid up laying down in bed, as people are like working on me and that sort of thing. Uh, but I look at her and I ask, how often do people tell you that you should spy more? And it got her to like crack a grin because knowingly, like I didn't either. And people tell it to me all the time. And there was just like this moment of just like understanding. And I don't think I'll forget that. It may have been Walter Reed, actually. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. All right. You know what? Techno is an open source project. I'm not going to look it up now. I'll look it up later. Though. Let's see what else we got. Yeah. So folks try to force themselves to want things and burn out as a result. Gotta just be honest with yourself sometimes. So what I'd say about this is that sometimes you don't know that you're forcing yourself to want things. It'll just be like you liked it yesterday, and you've liked it for the past 10 years or whatever, but you didn't realize that a change was occurring. And so you're stuck in the motions of doing that. It's maybe habitual or just you're just doing it because it's just a procedure that you entertain. Maybe your job or whatever. And and if you think about it, like you may find out that you're like, why do I still do this every day? But if you don't have a break to like self analyze, to be a little bit introspective about it, then it might be hard. Might be hard to figure that out. Oh yeah, no, I get you. Craps off. Yeah, so that I guess that really leads us to like, how do we avoid burnout? And in that respect, I'm open to ideas. I've already tried to give you my pitch, where you got to figure out the things that you want, the things that make you happy, the things that get your blood pumping every morning. And I think that the only other way to avoid burnout is to identify the things that are causing it. So it could be, just the people that you don't like working with everybody at your job. Okay, well, who's the problem? I would say who's the problem, and then why are they a problem? Is there something that you can do to remove that stressor? Not remove the person, please. Leave the people alone, but mend your relationship with them. Is there a way that you can remove the things that stress you out in life, or make a change that will make life a little bit easier? Here's a here's another random take. What sort of gift can you? It's this is very tangential. What sort of gift can you give yourself today that tomorrow you will say thank you for? So if you I don't I don't know how many of you are like this, but you might be sitting at home and you're just kind of going through the motions. You're just doing things and stuff, and life might suck a little bit. But if you, is there one thing that you could do today that tomorrow you'll be like, "Huh, I'm glad I did that." That could be working out. It could be doing some meal prep. Just if you struggle to like if you're always late to work, for example, because you had to pack your lunch. If you took care of that right now, would that help you feel better tomorrow when you go to work and you realize that you don't have that burden? You might not have the energy to do that right now, but maybe you can find some sort of behavior that might give you energy. I can go to sleep. Yeah, AC says you can go to sleep. Uh, oh man. So Mike says, I got back into regular exercise after 10 years of ignoring it. Took me way too long and I feel so much better for it. I'm glad. Good job. That is so I haven't been to the gym in I took like I went to the gym a little bit after COVID, like a few times, a handful of times. And I'm one of those people who I have a hard time working out at home. It is the most difficult thing for me to do because I have to be in an environment that is conducive to working out. I have to know that, like, okay, I'm in this space. What else am I going to do in this space? I'm going to work out. Like I'm stuck here. I could leave early, have a car. That's the thing that you can do. But there's more friction, right? You've created, you've entered a space where it's just like so Seth Godin, who is just a prolific writer, uh, when he wakes up and does like writing, he puts on a uniform because that's him telling himself like it's time to work. So he does the work. It seems excessive putting on a uniform just to like sit in your own house, but that's one of those things. And it's not like I mean, it's not like this one weird trick. It's a lot of things for a lot of different people. There are many ways to structure your environment so that you can cope with stress or diminish the effects of it or just set yourself up for success by creating friction in the appropriate places and uh, creating like less resistance in to doing the things that you need to do. For example, I know somebody who takes their before they go to bed, they lay out the clothes that they're going to wear tomorrow because that's a point of friction that they have or like a stressor for them is like finding the right clothes. So they just take care of it at night. Wake up, it's taken care of. And that's a habit that they would need to cultivate over time. Or rather, if you were to take that on, that's probably something that you'd have to cultivate over time. But you, you kind of, I don't think we have an idea or a strong idea of what is really going to stick with us until it actually sticks with us. I was going to the gym like every day for years, and then one day I just stopped. Uh, and if you were to talk to some guru, they would say like, ah, it's you form a habit, and then you be able to do that for the rest of your life. I think that going to the gym was a habit, but at some point, um, it wasn't, and I don't know what flipped the switch. It could have been just circumstances in the environment. It could have been, I mean, certainly COVID put a damper on things, but maybe I just found something else that was more important. Maybe I just figured out that I wanted to sleep more often or go home and eat, give in to the easy urges, fast food and whatever else. I don't know. Hey, Take it easy, Nubius. Thanks for hanging out. Healthy Gamer GG said, one profound thing, you live only right now. Just make sure that anything you're doing right now will make things better for yourself tomorrow. Absolutely. Identify what causes burnout, then figure out which causes can be resolved without drastic change. That's where I always start. Letting solvable issues fester will only make the main immovable cause of burnout worse. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's kind of my approach to things too, Mateus. Is uh, and what's funny is that I don't think that this is how some people's brains work. I see a problem that's like a small solvable thing, and I actually get anxiety if if I can't address it. Like uh, because I'm like in I need to solve the problems to just get rid of them. Like if it's something that I think that should be done, like why wallow in that? When other people are like they can't. They got to be in the right place um to or like the right like mindset to deal with it. And it could be but at the same time it could be paralyzing because it exists. This isn't a great example, but there's like a bunch of wasps around the house, and we're figuring out me and my girlfriend figuring out how to deal with it. We have a spray bottle and has like eucalyptus and other things in it because I don't like that. And I'm like, I was so excited to deal with that problem, and she was worried because um, she was hoping that because I don't know we were talking about wasps for like days, and she was uh, said like you wait until it gets to dusk because then they're less active. And I'm like, I want to go cause problems. So that's part of it for me is I was really excited to do it. Uh, with an understanding that like she was worried about my safety because these things are like they're douchey little wasps. Is that what they are? Wasps, the black ones. Uh, but they're like crawling up under our houses and stuff and flying by our windows when we're having breakfast. Like, uh, and I had to like assure her that hey, this is something that is stressing us out now, and I'm really excited to deal with the problem. Uh, so I'll be safe, and I like, and and also I'm not allergic to them, so I was just going out to spray them and then running back into the house. Hilarious, but that's one of those things that's like people view problems in a different way. Um, again, that's not a great example, but there's other things like that where you can feel paralyzed and like anxious about a problem because anxiety and actually this is something that a healthy gamer GG said when he was on talking to was it like Dr. Mike or something like that. I don't really have an interest in that particular dude, but um but Dr. K is uh I find the things that he says is really intriguing to me. There's a lot of value there. But he was saying that anxiety is actually maybe it was somebody else that was saying this. It doesn't matter. They were saying that anxiety is a problem uh, that hasn't happened yet. It's it's you're anxious about the anticipation of something bad happening. I don't think that was Dr. K, but and I was like, that's a pretty good way to phrase that. And I can have loved ones in my life be anxious about things, and to me, I'm like, can we just let's suck it up deal with that one thing, and for them, that doesn't even, like, register. It's like, "Okay, how do we get around, like, this thing that exists?" Instead of attacking it. So I think that we're just our brains just work differently, so it's so difficult to paint people with the same brush when it comes to this sort of stuff. This is fun. What got me out of burnout was basically to put myself into a Venn diagram and find the contradictions and overlaps. It's much easier to fix things when you make sense to yourself. I think that's a really good point. I've never tried something like that, but I could totally see it working for people. Uh, oh, interesting. I'm the lead developer of a very active by WC3. Are you talking about Warcraft 3, or is there a new game within the past? Man, how old is Warcraft 3? Because I was making like maps and stuff for that, you know, 15 years ago or whatever. Uh, love to have a chat one day about how you dealt with community backlash. I personally have a lot of trouble with criticism and how not to let it affect my mental health. So I am an expert. You've come to the right place. Uh, so a lot of people say that you should focus on the things that make you okay. So when you weigh everything in the balance, there's going to be a very low amount of people who are critical of the work versus the people who are, uh, excited about it or content with it or, made happy by it. This is definitely the case in the PlanetSide 2 space. We have, when you're spending time in social media in particular, you it's very easy, like, those communities tend to be kind of, the folks who are discontent are more likely to post in those places than post something that they're happy about, unless it's like novel. So they'll get back to the game for the first time and say like, "Oh, I'm having so much fun," or they'll a new update will come out and they'll be like, "Ah, yeah, I love this, this, and this," or some event will happen and uh, so it'll be mostly discontent, uh, punctuated with moments of joy, and that's just the default state for social media. Uh, the way that you get around it is by either, and this depends on the type of person that you are. Again, not a one size fit all solution. The way that you get around it is by either standing guard at the gateway to your mind, which I think is something that Tony Robbins said. Like, do not consume the media, or better yet, unless you can, in that moment, do something about it, about a problem. Don't entertain the problem. So if somebody's a douche on uh, social media, but you've let me back up. If you're done with work for the day and you're not gonna touch anything, you know, you've had a good day. Uh, if you're not going to be able to respond to any criticism, then make sure that you don't take the criticism on in those times of vulnerability. So that might mean like curbing your habits. Like maybe you set up hours for Twitter or like checking forums or whatever. Don't do that, or rather, don't set yourself up to be in a position where you're going to find this one thing that's going to ruin your day, and then you're going to go to sleep. Because guess what? That negativity is always going to be there, and regardless of how, uh, regardless of how strong, it's a bad wording, strong of a person you are. Like I am very resilient when it comes to taking on criticism. Have to be, uh, but it will get to me because I am a human being. So being able to like Archimedes says here, don't set yourself up to fall. Set yourself up for failure. Either or, you like because if you're okay, there's something about I'm going to check this real quick. Uh, okay, classical Stoic approach. If it's not a problem I can fix at the moment, it's not a problem you should focus on at the moment. I would say yes. That is exactly it. I know that's difficult, especially for somebody like me who is just permeating my life with Planetside 2 at the time. Because again, during work hours, after work hours, weekends, holidays, doesn't matter. Planetside 2 is like the everything that I was doing. So if you you become very attached to that thing that you're doing. And it took me a long time to create the right amount of separation. And I don't think I ever fully got there. But by the end of the process, I wasn't really dealing with people anymore, like in the same way that I had been prior. I would usually like I was very excited to clap back when people are being absolute jerk offs. But it's not a good look. There's no way to make that a good look unless you got a bunch of supporters who are like, yeah, yes, we love it. you know. Uh, so learning to be professional is okay. Thank you, interlude. Learning to be professional is important, but not. I would say professional, but not. God, I've said this before. Why can't I find the word? Uh, wow, wow, this is like the biggest brain fart that I've ever had. Professional, but not impersonal. Jesus, Jesus. Yeah. So one of the things that I was big on, and this is a problem too, is that I was very, like I said, very attached. And so when people, uh, so I was very quick to feel guarded about the things that I was doing because I love being out and open and in the community and answering questions and being really excited about what everybody else is excited about. The problem is that people take advantage of that. And I never wanted to like there have been a lot of like I'd write a lot of blog posts and stuff. Like I've written so many articles and all the patch notes almost for Planetside 2. And a lot of times when it was like a bigger moment, the marketing team would try to come through and say like you know this change this, and it felt really sterile. Um, and so I would take their feedback and try to structure it in a way that made it still feel genuine to me because I like being candid and open and uh, talking to people in a way that they can digest. Don't treat people like you're a part of an organization. Treat them like you're uh, a part of the community. It has some benefits and detriments because you do need like a layer of separation. So toward the end of my tenure, I was getting better, I think, at um, being more on the professional side to the maybe to too great a degree, because occasionally there would still be like some like spikes where I just can't help myself. And then those are the things that the community holds on to because they'll forget all the good stuff that you did. Uh, and then just hold on to the really negative moments because those are like the sound bites, right? The ones that they can hold on to and repost. And when everything is stripped of context, and by I mean the context of the I guess the landscape of everything that you've done through your career, anything can be made to look bad, and anything can be made to look well. I don't think anything can be made to look amazing. You can't cherry pick it the same way because we just naturally glom onto negativity when you aren't face to face with another person, and that's social media. Okay, cool. Thanks, Sebas. All right. Well, I think that I don't know how much folks have gotten out of this, but I think that I think I've gotten across hopefully all of the things I was trying to get across is that if there's a takeaway here, if you feel like you're being burnt out, if you feel like you're being worn down, try to figure out what factors are contributing to, uh, I guess, to that, what factors are creating the burden that's wearing down your tolerance, wearing down your enthusiasm, your excitement, uh, your willingness to continue doing the things that you're doing. And the second one is to try to figure out what really drives you as a person. Why do you wake up every morning? What gets your blood pumping? For me, it's creation. Like I love to build, make things, and share it with others. And as I've thought about that more, and help people too. That's part of the. I think I'm in a weird way. I'm like looking for to connect with people and like help, especially to solve problems and things. And just one of my own explorations more recently is that I don't like making YouTube videos. It sucks. I'm not an entertainer. I anymore. Like there was a point, and this leads back to something that somebody else was saying, where what you're excited about, what you're interested in, can change. And if I'm like, I still want to be on YouTube, but I think that the way that would make sense for me to help people most is to just like live stream because hopefully you're getting the same value out of this as you would. I mean, granted, this is like an hour and some change long, but the same kind of value that you would out of a normal short form video. Because I could have gone through these talking points in probably like 10 minutes, but you wouldn't have been able to ask questions and share your own thoughts. And I think there's some value in there as well. All right, last round. Yeah, for sure. I would agree with that. Ask yourself what changed from now to when you felt normal. It's pretty good. Oh, yes. Just a million hours for the price of a million hours of your whatever life you have. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, folks. I think we're gonna call the stream. I'll catch y'all later.